No doubt, Colleen, that Pat Shurmur was angry. He absolutely was furious over this, and rightly so when you think about Odell speaking out, speaking away from the organization, and the uproar that it is still causing, frankly. As far as his teammates go, I found them largely unaffected by it. That is not uncommon in my experience with athletes. We often make a bigger deal of things than they do. And then there's Eli Manning. I'll use your word, Colleen, completely unfazed. Eli Manning, he and Odell hugging it out. They are good. They have spoken. They continue to speak. They speak all the time. They continue to work after practice together as the professionals they both are on the football field. And, you know, one thing about Eli, and I understand the criticisms of him, but, guys, he is a steady ship among the New York waters in the media here, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that part of it.
Yeah, Kim, I think that's really important, too, for you to point out that everything is fine between Eli and Odell, because that's the first thing I think that people wonder when you hear these comments. Oh, what's going on in the locker room? Steve's not buying it one bit. But what did you think about this, Irv?
Me neither. First of all, there was a lot in that interview. And if you listen to him carefully, he talks about trying to bring about that college atmosphere where he spends time with all of his teammates after practice all the time. And then he started talking about Eli and what's going on with Eli Manning and throwing all the short passes. And he brought that up twice. And I sat back, I said, wow, this sounds like something more than just an Odell Beckham situation. This sounds like something he's been talking about with his whole football team. And a lot of guys are saying that because nowadays, everybody gets criticized when a team is losing games like the Giants are losing games. And I think we're seeing what happens when everybody has to deal with that criticism every day.
Yeah, Steve. Steve just takes a deep breath and shakes his head.
It was definitely an awkward interview. It was the interview that you really don't want to have your superstar do. When we talk about Odell Beckham, we talk about the maturity, you talk about the things that they expected out of him, and that was a book of a young Odell Beckham that we're not used to seeing. I love the fact what Pat Shurmur did was he said, hey, if you got a problem with what he said, he's a big guy. He's a big man. Go talk to him. I love that because he's not allowing the dissension to start. He's saying, hey, we have a great locker room, and if you have a problem, let's talk about it and handle it like men behind closed doors, not on television.
Exactly.
Now,
exactly.
You know, somebody may be watching and say, oh, Steve, really, did you just say that? I've never had a sit-down interview next to a superstar rap artist and then start throwing your guys under the bus.
Yeah.
It's just unlike him. That is not the Odell Beckham.
How do you have a sit-down discussion about Eli Manning? Remember the last guy that had a sit-down discussion about Eli and did something, he's gone. They fired him. That's how Shurmur got the job. So just remember that when you walk in the office and say, I want to have a sit-down discussion about Eli Manning. We'll have you a stand-up discussion about hitting that door. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're doing. So it's great to say it, but how do you get it done?
Well, you go and talk to Eli like a man. You don't go on TV like you just said and tell the world about what you're unhappy about. That is not how you get stuff solved. If you want to be a great player in this league and you about the money and the stats, anybody can do that. You just about the Pro Bowls. If you want to win championships, you have to be dependent on everybody else in that locker room. It takes 11 guys to make a play work. It only takes one guy to mess up that play.
And if the one guy, again, is Eli Manning, how can you say something to him? Reggie,
you got to go talk to him. That's your quarterback.
But how does it make a difference? They threw 4 deep passes of over 20 yards in the first 4 games. Last week, they threw 4 total. Now, so you can say that what he said, I don't know, man, never a good thing. It worked. It worked.
It worked how?
Because they threw the ball deep. They put some ball, they put it in the air, and they put up 30 points for the first time in a decade almost.
Yeah, okay, three coaches since then. They've had 3 coaches since then. I agree. If you have an issue with a guy, you go to that guy. But you don't go to that guy through the media and throw your guy under the bus, because that does not sit well in the locker room, because then the question is going to be, well, what's going to happen next when something goes on and he doesn't like it again, is he going to do another?
It's just not a mature thing to do.
But unless all of his teammates and somebody said, well, every time somebody says somebody Eli, they get out of here. Right. You just got $95 million, 80 up front. They can't get rid of you. Let me hear you say something.
Right.
It's easy to show up to work when everything is going bad.
Back in on this because I know Kim is standing by. I know she has more to add to this. Kim.
Just for clarity, Odell Beckham Jr. asked Pat Shurmur after all of this happened if he could talk to the team Saturday night. Shurmur said yes. He explained himself to teammates. Shurmur on Sunday said to the media, if you have further questions about this, ask Odell. He's a big man. He can speak for himself. I will say this to you guys, and you know it. The New York Giants are dependent completely at sometimes on Beckham's energy and passion. They cannot go without that. It's important since he stepped in this door. But I would say this to Odell. That video that you all played before we started this segment, the kicking net and everything else it rehashed, he opened the door for that again when you could have figured that door was closed. And that's a lesson he has to learn.
Yeah, Kim, the disruption, it's definitely a factor. He is